Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game, and today, Cosmic Encounter Power Showdown, Round 15, or Part 15, Round 4, the top 32. We're kicking things off with Brute Alternate Timeline versus Sorcerer, and yes, I am bringing this back because we need to have the official breakdown of everything. So to start, artwork. Brute, really cool artwork. Does that demonstrate a brute? I don't know. Sorcerer, sorcerer artwork. It's okay. It does represent a sorcerer to me. So much so that I got the box cover, but we're going with it. Brute, wild. As a main player ally. Here we go. As a main player ally, before compensation rewards are gained, you may reduce each player's compensation rewards to 1. Sorcerer wild. When the sorcerer is not a main player before cards are selected, you may force the main players to trade alien powers. And yes, that's a better wild. Supers. Sorcerer super. You may use your power as an ally, switching the main player's encounter cards. Pretty good super. Brute can also use your main player, or can use its power as a main player. Normally the power is an ally power. But I'm going to say swapping the powers of main players is a better power. Power text. Sorcerer swaps cards. So creates choice. Brute. As an ally, after alliances are formed, you may use this power to pressure one player on the opposing side. Player must either remove all their ships and return them, or take a number of random cards in their hand up to the number of ships and take one card of your choice. Sorry. Sorcerer is getting the point. It's just better. It's a better ability to swap cards. And as we've learned, once we get to 4, that's the game. So, Sorcerer, moving on past Brute. Next up, we have Maven versus Magician. Maven has that kind of weird artwork. Magician was very much a... felt like a magician. So, we're going to give the artwork point to Magician. Let's go for the wilds. So the Maven wild here. When you are not involved in an encounter after encounter cards are revealed, you may correct any encounter's outcome by adding 10 to either side's total and then give this flare to Maven. Magician's wild. When you're the main player, before selecting cards, you may force your opponent to play 3 encounter cards face down. Shovel these cards around on the table. Your opponent chooses one of the face down cards at random, which they then play and take the other 2 back. I think Magician wild is something I would rather play. The super. Magician super, when using your power, turn one of your opponent's 2 cards face up before choosing. Choose either the face up or face down card. So, a bit of choice there. Maven super, when using your power, instead of placing cards on your alien sheet, you may add them all to your hand. I'm going to give the point to Maven there. They both have good supers. Something just more interesting about Maven's super. So Maven's power, if you're not a main player or an ally, after encounter cards are selected but before they're revealed, you may use this power to take all face-down cards played during the planning phase, stack them on this sheet without looking at them, then proceed to the reveal phase, discard an attack or negotiate from your hand to declare the outcome of the encounter. Even number attack card declares that the offense wins. Yeah, basically, you're just determining who wins. Magician, you force the opponent to play 2 encounter cards face down, choose one of the 2 cards at random, add it to your hand, then play an encounter card from your hand normally, even the card you just took. Your opponent must play the card you didn't take, and the rest of everything keeps going. I'm going to give it to Magician. I think Magician's just a stronger power. So, score of 4-1. Magician moves on. Okay. Pentaform versus Relic. We'll skip art this time and just go straight into everything here. So, Pentaform. Powers. Game setup gets basically gets 5 powers. And you cycle through them. So that's Pentaform. Relic. Anytime another player draws a new hand of cards, use this power to immediately gain a free foreign colony. Anytime you draw a new hand of cards, you get all your ships back from the warp. And that's Relic. I'm going to give the points on power text to Pentaform. And let's look at the wilds here. Relic Wild. When retrieving one or more ships from the warp, return them to any of your home planets, even if you currently have no ships on that planet. So the Relic Wild, not massively impressive. It's okay. It gets you some ships back. That will help you. The Pentaform Wild, on the other hand, lets you get rid of your current alien power, draw 2 cards from the flare deck, choose one of these 2 aliens, and become that alien. And this is a one-time use. You then give it to Pentaform, or discard it if the Pentaform's not playing. So, I think I'm going to give this one to Pentaform because a little bit of power change, good, and Relic Wild, just not very good. Pentaform Super, at the start of any encounter, you can swap the positions of any 2 of your life stages without moving the Pentaform sheet. So you're just changing out, your first and your third can swap. You can't rearrange the whole thing, but you can change everything, switch to. Relic Super, at the start of any player's turn, choose any player other than yourself. That player chooses and discards 1 card from their hand. Pentaform Super is very dependent on what powers you get. The Relic Super, I'm going to give the point to. It's consistent in being able to bring you closer to a foreign colony. You're targeting players to discard a card, discard a card, discard a card. Worst case, somebody has a very powerful flare. You're aiming at them to try to make them get rid of that flare. All right, let's go to the history or the flavor text. Relic. Eons ago, a warlike race of machines swept across the cosmos, conquering one planet after another. However, before they could complete their terrible goal, they began to shut down, seeking refuge in hidden caves and beneath murky seas on countless worlds. Now these machines have begun to awaken once more, ready to continue their ancient dreams of cosmic dominance. Definitely paints a picture. Pentaform's history, or flavor text here. Evolving on the 5th moon of the 5th planet of their star system, the Pentaforms coincidentally developed with 5 distinct life stages. Though differing in form from one specimen to another, all Pentaforms go through cataclysmic changes from each life stage to the next. Childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, and seniority. They have been causing a handful of trouble for the rest of the galaxy. I like Pentaform's history, but I like Relic's more. Pentaform really has a dynamic timing window. It's all going to depend on what powers they have. Relic's timing window is very wide open. I'm going to give it to Pentaform. Yeah. So, Pentaform is going to take the win there. So, 4-2. Okay. Pretender versus Tortoise. So, Pretender and Tortoise. And we'll go through the same Pretender. Pretender. You have the power to take over as the offense after Destiny is drawn. You may use this power to take your alien sheets and everything and move them to the best seat. That player in that seat takes their alien sheet and moves to your seat. Facets of alien powers move with those powers. Everything else is left behind to become the property of the arriving player, including player colors, ships, hands, planet systems, etc. After taking over another player's seat and taking your turn, play continues from you based on the new seating order. I like Pretender. It's interesting. It's not amazing, but it's interesting. Tortoise. You basically skip your turn, and you get 4 rewards. Each time you draw a card as a reward, draw the top card from the appropriate deck or discard pile. Any or all cards you draw as rewards can be placed face down on the sheet in your shell. Your shell is not part of your hand and may not be used until the end of the game, but you may look at it at any time. When the game ends, if you have not lost this power, add all cards in your shell to your hand. If you are not one of the winners, take one final turn, and you can try to win the game. I like both powers. I'm going to give the power points to Tortoise, though. I think they have just a bit better. Let's go to the wilds. Tortoise Wild. On your turn, if you have had 2 successful encounters, you may have a third. If you have encounter cards, that's always fun. A Pretender Wild. At the start of another player's turn, you may name a card and ask for the best card of that type from another player's hand. If that player has any cards of that type, he or she gives you whichever one is the best from his or her point of view. Give this flare to that player after use. I like both, but I'm going with the third encounter. Supers. Pretender Super. When you use your power, you may decide that both players must also move their hands to their new seats. Okay. Little extra, but I like it. Not super amazing. Tortoise Super is the defense. You may refuse to allow the offense to encounter you. The offense must encounter a different player, and if required to use Destiny, must draw Destiny again until they are able to encounter a different player. Yeah, that's better. That keeps you safe. And the Tortoise will take out Pretender with that. 5-4-0. Okay, we are moving on here. Aristocrat versus Loser. No, it is Crat. Okay. Aristocrat has the power to basically start with the hand of their choice, and then any time before encounter cards is selected, you can draw a flare, add it in. Loser is basically winning encounters or losing encounters. They're declaring upsets about encounters. Still, Aristocrat, that hand choice is really good. They're both good. The Wild Aristocrat, at the start of any encounter, you may take 1 minute to look through the deck, choose one card, add it to your hand, then shuffle the discard pile together with the deck to form a new deck. Give this flare to the Aristocrat or discard it. Loser Wild. The Loser Wild is main player before encounter cards are selected. You may declare that both sides lose, sending all involved ships to the warp. Card of my choice, pretty good, but it's limited to the deck. Declaring that both sides lose, that's just fun. Loser Super. You may wait until after cards are selected, but before they are revealed, before declaring an upset. When you do so, you and your opponent are not required to play attack cards if possible. And on Aristocrat, the super, when using your power, instead of drawing one flare, you may discard this flare either to draw 3 or to take 1 minute to look through the unused flare deck and choose any one flare. There are some really good flares. But that's a one-time thing. And I am always going to favor the power that lets me keep doing what I'm doing. Flavor text. Let's go here. The aristocrat, beginning life with every advantage, the aristocrats expect deference and respect from others, drawing on a storehouse of great wealth from their feudal planet estates. They now turn their majestic gaze upon the squabbling villains of space. Loser. The enigmatic losers have proven to be quite cunning in battle. Strengths become weaknesses, and weaknesses strengths as the glassy-eyed loser shows its opponents that nice guys finish first. I know it's my choice. I'm still going loser. They both have pretty similar timing windows, but loser's optional. And, I mean, in some ways they're both optional, but I'm giving the point to loser. And with that, loser will take it. And, yeah. Dragon versus Volch. I know, somebody out there's asking, how did Dragon even make it this far? Or how did Volch even make it this far? Well, you know, life. It happens. Volch's artwork is terrible, though. Dragon, much better artwork. Dragon. Let's see. Dragon is going to be off in the Odyssey files. The warp not updated with Odyssey yet. And that's okay. Volch is the power to keep your artifacts when you've played them, to gather artifacts that other people play. Dragon, here, after Destiny's drawn, if it matches the player color or is wild, add that card to the sheet. After the third card of the same color is placed. So you're gathering up Destiny cards. As the offense, instead of drawing Destiny, you can choose discard Destiny card to have an encounter in the slow. You draw on that card. But yeah, when you get 3 of a kind, you can scorch a planet in that player's home system. All ships on that planet are sent to the warp, and the planet is removed from the game. Yeah, Dragon's really all about getting rid of planets. It's a very defensive power. And with that, I actually consider Volch to be a better power. Dragon annoying, but that's okay. Volch, wild. If you win an encounter or make a deal as a main player, your opponent gives you his hand 1 card at a time. Discard each card until you get one you want. You put that card in your hand, and your opponent keeps what's left, if any. Mean, but fun. And a bit of a psychological mind game. The Dragon Wild is the offense. You may send one of the defensive ships on the targeted planet to the warp. I kind of give the point to Volch. Volch Wild's just a much more fun wild. Super. The Dragon Super, you may use your power when a second Destiny card of a player's color is placed on your sheet. You cannot use wild Destiny cards for this effect. That does make Dragon significantly better. I will give it that. Volch's Super, you may use your power to collect any discarded flares as well as artifacts. Not tons of flares get discarded. I'm going to give that to Dragon. I think that Dragon gets a bigger enhancement from their super. History or flavor text here. The overpowering rage of the once comely dragons gradually misshaped them into their current form. Having turned their backs on all intelligent discourse with others, they now seek only to incinerate their enemies and revel in the glory of their suffering, of the suffering of the weak. Okay, that's pretty evocative. Volch, originally developing as a structured bureaucratic race, only the Volches, who were most able to grasp new opportunities, rose to the top. Over millions of years, this inbred scavenging talent flourished and spread throughout the race. Now, Volches are prepared to use the discarded refuse of others to achieve their goal of universal supremacy. I think Dragon's getting the point there. And that leads us to timing window. Dragon, one timing window in Destiny, mandatory. Volch, anytime, anywhere. And Volch is going to sneak that one out. 4-3 over Dragon. Dragon has a lot of good going for it, though. Yeah. Explorer versus Perfectionist. And this is interesting because Perfectionist made it this far. Perfectionist alternate timeline did not. Yeah. So, Explorer and Perfectionist. Explorer, game setup, choose an unused player color, place 4 planets of that color on this sheet. You have the power of discovery as the offense after the gate's aimed. You may use this power to take a planet from the sheet, place it in the targeted system, re-aim the gate at the planet. As a main player or ally, after both players reveal attack cards, you may use this power to increase your side's total according to the planets you have discovered. 1 for every planet you do not have a colony on, 2 for each discovered planet you coexist on, 4 for each discovered planet you occupy alone. Explorer, lots of good stuff there. Takes a little bit to get going, but is a solid addition. Perfectionist, whenever you add any cards to your hand, you may use this power to reject any one of those cards, any of those cards, not just one, and stack them face down on this sheet in a reject pile. Immediately replace the cards you discarded with new ones drawn from the deck, but you may not discard and replace any of the replacements. You may offer cards from your reject pile as part of a deal. When another player takes cards from your hand, you can force them to take from the reject pile. If any player cannot draw cards because of a deck and discard, you must discard 15 appropriately cards at random from your reject pile. Yeah, Perfectionist is okay. Explorer has a better power. The Wild. Perfectionist Wild. If you are unsatisfied with the card and you received via rewards or compensation, you may set it aside face down and draw or take another. Then the set aside card is discarded or returned to the other player as appropriate. The Explorer Wild. As the offense after the hyperspace gate is aimed, you may take the Genesis planet, whether it's in use or not, place it in the targeted system, and re-aim the gate at that planet. You may receive rewards equal to your ships in the encounter if you win or make a deal, or 1 reward if you do not. I'd rather have that kind of a reward. For the Super, Explorer Super here is a main player or ally in an encounter at any planet you discovered after encounter cards are revealed. You may add 4. So, kind of human. Perfectionist Super is a main player after encounter cards are selected, but before they're revealed, you may reject any or all of your own allies. Rejected allies return their ships to their colonies. Oh, that's just funny. And thus it gets the point. Flavor text. Perfectionist parlaying eons of research into 99.9% rejection of inferior products with a sniff and a wave. The perfectionists now pick and choose their way to cosmic mastery, keeping only the best of the best. That's pretty good. Explorer. As the various child races of the precursors began to take to the stars, most were drawn to one another in their hunger for knowledge, trade, defense, conflict, and the other manifold needs that drove them forward. The explorers, however, often bypassed other sentient beings in their haste to catalog new worlds. Even centuries later, this obsession continues, but now they begin to reap the rewards for their diverse discoveries. Interesting. That establishes some past cosmic history. And with that, I'm giving the point to Explorer, and Explorer will advance. And just a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Inferno versus Diplomat. This will be the last one of this part of the video. So, Inferno and Diplomat. Okay. Diplomat over here. There we go. Diplomat. You have the power to negotiate when you are not a main player. And one or more attack cards are revealed in an encounter. You may use this power to play a negotiate card from your hand and turn the revealed attack cards into regular negotiate cards. Then you and the two main players have 2 minutes to attempt to reach a 3-way deal. Apply all unique effects found on the 3 negotiate cards. Unless all 3 players agree on a deal, the deal fails and each loses the appropriate number of ships. Yeah, basically 3-way deals. Pretty messy, but fun. Inferno gets more copies of their flare, and then they, after another player plays a flare and attempts to return it to their hand, you may use this power to take it instead. When you have no encounter cards and would discard your hand to draw a new one, reveal any flares in your hand and set them aside. Draw your new hand and then add the set aside flares to your hand. And so that in and of itself is what Inferno does. That's all I'm going to consider Diplomat, better power right there. The Inferno Super, you return this card to your hand. Then if you have 5 flares in your hand, 2 of which are Inferno flares, you win the game. That is a better super than the Diplomat Super, which says, as a main player, after alliances are formed, instead of playing encounter cards to determine the winner, you may call a vote of all players. Defense wins ties. You may buy votes by making deals, which are carried out only if you win. Tally the results and proceed to the resolution phase. I do like the Diplomat Super. It's a very good super, but it's not better than winning the game. The Diplomat Wild. When a deal is being attempted without you, you may play a negotiate card from your hand to remove one of the players from that deal and take their place. Restart the time limit. Your card's game effect applies, and you receive the deal's benefits or penalties as appropriate. If you make a deal, it counts as a success for the player you replaced. I do like that. That's a good wild. The Inferno Wild is a main player ally. Each player on your side may discard a flare from their hand. The first discarded flare adds 20 to your side's total, and each flare after that adds 10. If at least one player discarded a flare, give this Inferno flare to the Inferno or discard it if the Inferno is not playing. Yeah, basically, you better do this to win the game, because otherwise you're going to let Inferno win the game. But, that being said, I would rather have the Diplomat Wild. I'd rather be able to replace somebody else in a deal, because that is just fun. Inferno's artwork is better than Diplomat's artwork. And here, I will just pull up Diplomat's artwork. It's not all that impressive. If you want, we can even do this. Yeah, that's just, I mean, there's a head there somewhere. There we go. There we go. Yeah, Diplomat artwork, meh. It's nothing compared to Inferno's. So, anyway, Inferno gets the artwork point. We're going to flavor text. Inferno. Expelled from the fiery depths of a red giant star, the Inferno defiled the cold wastes of space. They sought out other sources of heat to burn, increasing their power with each flare-up. Nothing will satisfy the Inferno until the entire cosmos is consumed in an ultimate conflagration. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty darn good. Diplomat. A foreboding presence held in awe by other planetary life forms, the diplomats strike only when their webs are fully spun. Oh, what tangled webs we weave. Then, for extricating those caught by their own rash acts, the diplomats negotiate their terms. I don't know. Both flavor texts are good. See, Inferno wins the timing window. I'm giving it to Inferno. Inferno's flavor text is better. Yeah. Inferno with the comeback there. The 4-3 comeback. Okay, well. Hey, halfway through the round of 32. Look, I know. I know this is back to the long form, but this is like to championship matches. So we got to get it right. Anyway, next time, the bottom half of the bracket, and we'll get there. So figure one more video here for the rest of round of 32, another video for round of 16, here round 5, and then I think that'll get us home. So thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. And until next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care.